epidemic among young people. We'll tell you how it's affecting CSU students later on.
Then we take an exclusive look at a new on-campus clinical research lab that's got students excited for the future.
And as we come up on Hurricane Maria's one-year mark, we talk to one student who's still feeling its effects. All this and more starting now on CTV. Good evening, Rams, and thank you for joining us. I'm Emma Iannacone.
And I'm Lauren Wilson, filling in for Ryan Christ. We begin tonight with breaking news from the Fort Collins Police Department. Despite resigning, a Fort Collins police officer has been found not guilty of using excessive force in an arrest from earlier this year. In March, an off-duty police officer responded to a dispatch call of a shoplifting suspect reportedly fighting with a target staff member. The officer located the disturbance and attempted to take the woman into custody while she verbally and physically resisted him. Another officer arrived on scene and the two used, quote, less than lethal force to take the suspect into custody. She later pled guilty. The body cam footage, which you're seeing here, has been reviewed and investigated by the district attorney's office, who determined the officer did not violate any laws.
That we have high standards here at the Fort Collins Police Services. And if we ever find that we do not rise to the level of the expectations of not only ourselves but this community, we will hold ourselves accountable as we have in this case.
It may not be something a lot of us think about, how certain berries can make older women's hearts healthy, but a new clinical research lab on campus is bringing cutting-edge food research to the forefront. Food science and human nutrition student Kiri Mitchell gets to spend her days surrounded by delicious food and do what she loves. Currently, she's studying how blueberries affect cardiovascular health in menopausal women, and the newly renovated clinical research lab at the Food Science and Human Nutrition Department at CSU is making the research easier.
I think it will really help with all of our human research as well as our clinical studies.
The new Functional Foods and Human Health Laboratory is located on the second floor of Gifford Building, which provides easier access for students like Allegra Vasquez.
It's around the corner from our study lab that we currently work in, so it's a lot more easy to access and a lot more machines and different techniques that we get to use than we would having to go to a different lab and having to spend more time in transit.
The lab will be used primarily to study how food components and chemicals can increase or decrease the risk of chronic diseases. Lab Director Sarah Johnson says renovating the lab helps graduate and undergraduate students get better results.
The purpose of this program is to catalyze new research, to improve existing infrastructure, to not only enhance our current capabilities, but to enhance and catalyze future research capabilities.
Thanks to the new lab, there will be more research and more berries for Mitchell. It looks like a great place to work. You can read more about the renovated laboratory on collegian.com.
The body of a police officer was pulled from Horsetooth Reservoir on Monday afternoon has been identified as 32-year-old Yuri Thomas, a member of the Johnstown Police Department. According to Poudre Fire Authority, Thomas was swimming in the reservoir with his wife when he went underwater and did not resurface. Thomas was flown to the medical center of the Rockies after being pulled from the water, but unfortunately did not survive. The Johnstown's Police Department has set up a memorial outside the police station for community members to pay their respects.
Earlier this year, during a college visit to CSU's campus, the police were called on two Native American teens after a parent felt nervous in their presence. A letter was sent from the Colorado chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union to CSU earlier today. The letter says the university needs to take more action to prevent bias-based calls for service from directing law enforcement actions. In the letter, ACLU recommends CSU implement more training for officers and dispatchers to better handle situations concerning potential racial bias. CSU spokesman Mike Hooker responded to the letter in an email statement saying CSU has been communicating with the ACLU over the summer about efforts to implement well-researched recommendations that build on the long-standing work of the Native American Cultural Center and other CSU offices. For updates and further information about this story, you can visit collegian.com.
E-cigarettes, most commonly known as vapes or juuls, are skyrocketing in usage among young adults, especially on college campuses. Unfortunately, these vapes have similar negative health effects to smoking cigarettes. Despite that, a growing number of CSU students are using them to get through the day.
Chris Liston is a biomedical and chemical engineer major who vapes while he studies. He claims that the juice he puts in his vape device helps him calm down while he's doing his homework.
I just tried it just for the flavor, and it tasted really good. It was relaxing. I was kind of into it. I just didn't really want to get addicted, so I bought it with the intention of just getting juices without nicotine and just to kind of help relax myself.
Chris isn't the only one who is finding his way to vaping and e-cigs. It's part of a growing national trend.
We do a health survey on campus every 2 years, and the survey just started measuring e-cigarettes or vaping use starting in 2015. And between 2015 and 2017, we've actually seen a pretty dramatic increase in the number of students that report using e-cigarettes pretty regularly. So I would say it's at least doubled for women on campus and tripled for men on campus just within that 2-year period.
The increase of vaping is taking place across the globe. Vaping has increased by an astounding 30 million from 2011 to 2018, according to a recent, in-depth BBC report. So if vaping is this new hot trend, what is it? Why is it increasing? And why is it so dangerous?
Vaping, as opposed to putting a lighter to a cigarette, vape is just, it's made of 4 different chemicals. You have your flavoring, your nicotine, and then vegetable glycerin and propylene glycol, which you could find in some of your medicines and your foods. And it just gets heated up in liquid form and turns into vapor, and then you inhale that vapor. Vaping's more convenient, so it's being used a lot more. As opposed to going through a couple cigarettes a day, teens are vaping all day, every day. So you're getting much more nicotine throughout your system.
The addictive nature of nicotine is what makes it so difficult to quit, but there is help here on the CSU campus.
So if you want to quit smoking, we do have a staff member who is a trained coach, and you would just call the health network and say that you want to make an appointment to talk about quitting smoking or quitting vaping, and you get 5 sessions with that coach, and that's already included in their health fee.
CSU Health Center officials point out that vaping in the long run is not considered a healthy or safe replacement for cigarettes. I'm Ryan Christ, CTV News.
One of the popular vaping products, known as Juuls, has just been ordered by the FDA to limit their marketing toward young people within 60 days, or they risk being taken off the market.
The annual University Picnic and Presidential Fall Address will take place in the Oval on October 3rd at 11:30 in the morning. The University Picnic, which is now a CSU tradition, was originally held in 1997 as a thank you to the university community after the Spring Creek flood. In his fall address, President Frank will speak on highlights from the last year and goals for the coming year.
In the midst of hurricane season and the massive storm that has recently hit the East Coast, we remember Hurricane Maria, the devastating storm that hit the United States territory of Puerto Rico 1 year ago today. CTV reporter Marlo Lundak met with a CSU student to talk about impact and recovery.
I loved growing up there, honestly. It was very special, the community, the people.
Ana Delgadillo is a native Puerto Rican that came to the U.S. after high school to study here at CSU. Delgadillo was in the U.S. when Hurricane Maria hit. Though she's no stranger to hurricanes, she says Puerto Rico underestimated Maria after Hurricane Irma.
Irma passed, and it wasn't as bad as everyone thought it was going to be. So for Maria, after people saw that, they were hopeful that it was going to be more or less the same.
However, after Maria passed, the island was left without power. Delgadillo recalls the week where she couldn't contact her mother, who was still on the island.
So it was just really a moment of high anxiety, like I've never ever felt before. So it was just a lot of fear.
When she finally got in contact with her mother, there were tears, but she was safe. Delgadillo said she felt helpless. The recovery of Puerto Rico was slow, mainly due to lack of power. Her family focuses on day-to-day survival.
It was chaos for the longest time. It still is a little bit. But without the power, it's too hard to recover, and that took way too long to put back together. So,
Delgadillo says feelings for her family have resurfaced since Florence hit the East Coast earlier this month, and coping isn't easy.
It feels too real because it was such a strong force that hit them. That is just really hard to forget. This is too much for them. So they have to avoid seeing any kind of videos or remembering what happened.
In initial reports, only 64 were reported dead from the hurricane. but a study done by Milken Institute School of Public Health at the George Washington University reported that nearly 3,000 died from effects of the hurricane. In a statement earlier this month, President Trump denied the study's legitimacy. Delgadillo says those comments are simply disrespectful.
It hurts. It hurts to see that the president doesn't really care that much to really look into it and admit or just accept that this is what happened.
A year later, Delgadillo says things could be better, but Puerto Rico is still recovering. With Hurricane Florence barely behind us, she offers advice to other students that might be affected by its impact.
Deal with what's happening as a community. You can't just really be on your own because you're not going to survive.
For more information about this story, you can visit collegian.com.
12 different Fort Collins breweries will be showcasing their beer at the 2018 American Beer Festival this weekend in Denver. The festival, with an estimated 60,000 attendees, will provide beer for 800 breweries across the country. Fort Collins' large presence won't only be felt at the festival, but beers from the area will be poured in bars around the event as well. The breweries in attendance will compete for gold, silver, and bronze medals, which will be presented Saturday morning. Well, that's all we have for you from News Tonight. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you spending part of your evening with us. I'm Emma Iannacone.
And I'm Lauren Wilson. Thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned. Right up next, we've got Carson Porterfield with the weather.
Listening to 90.5 KCSU Fort Collins with DJ Meanbeat,
DJ Nightshade, DJ Wildcard. Music to me is one of the best creative outlets that I can think of. An escape from the real world.
Music to me is an expression of love.
To go from like folk to hip hop to like classic rock, 1960s bossa nova. With music, there's like no boundaries.
I work here because I love music, and you do too.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Hey there, Rammies. Welcome back to Thursday Weather. I'm your weather anchor, Carson Porterfield. Let's get right into our current condition. The sun is setting just about right now, but it's a nice 75 degrees outside. So while that sun might be down, it is a beautiful night out, and it's the last day of summer. So get out there and have that great last summer night before fall gets right up on you. Today was a beautiful day. There was a little bit of wind going around, but it was an awesome sunny day with just a little bit of cloud coverage, and the trees were just starting to shed those leaves a little bit, showing some of that sign of fall, but it wasn't too bad. But it was an awesome day, hot and sunny, and students were having a great time out there on CSU. Alrighty, going into tonight's lows, it's going to be a little chilly all across Colorado tonight, with the coldest it being up here in the mountains at about 38 in Vail and 34 in Gunnison. Going along down the I-25 corridor, it's going to be about 49 in Fort Collins, 55 in Denver, 52 in Colorado Springs, and 57 in Pueblo, with the warmest it being over here in Lamar. All right, going into tomorrow's highs, it's going to be hot all across Colorado. It's going to be a beautiful day, a great first day of fall with hot all across it along this I-25 corridor. Fort Collins is going to be about 76, going down to 79 in Denver, 69 in Colorado Springs, and 74 in Pueblo over here in the mountains. Vail is going to be about 75, Gunnison 75, and the coldest being about in 69 in Telluride. All right, tomorrow's forecast is going to be a beautiful, hot, sunny day. Temperature is going to be a high of 76 and a low of 49. It's going to be a little bit windy, though, so make sure if you got a little windbreaker on, throw it right on there. As you know, this Saturday, we are going up against Illinois State. That day is going to be beautiful and sunny all across, with a little bit chilly up in the morning at 9 a.m. at about 59 degrees. Thankfully, it's going to warm right up. At noon, it's going to be at 77. Kickoff is at 1 p.m., so it's going to be an awesome and hot 83 going and staying about steady to 85 and cooling down just a couple degrees at 82 at around 6 p.m. All right, looking at our 5-day forecast, Monday is going to be a little cloudy with some lightning and a chance of rain, so be careful out there, make sure. And anyway, going into Tuesday, that lightning's going to clear up and that rain is going to clear up, but it's still going to be a little bit cloudy, so it should still be kind of a bleak day. Thankfully, it's going to clear right on up on Wednesday and stay sunny consistent for the rest of that week, staying about 70 to 69 and cooling down just a little bit more to 67 on Friday. All right, Rams, that's all I have for tonight. Up next, we have Jared with sports. Good night.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to...
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Welcome back from the break, Rams, and the Thursday Night Sports Show. I'm Jerry Stratton, here to catch you up on CSU athletics. CSU Athletic Director Joe Parker has officially given the title of Senior Woman Administrator to Shalini Shankar. This title was originally held by Christine Zuzimil, who was with CSU for 45 consecutive years. So these are some big shoes to fill. Shankar is in her 10th year with CSU, and the last 6 years she has been with Associate Athletic Director. She has earned the addition of this new position from her tremendous work with the softball and soccer program and her involvement with the NCAA programs. She's on the NCAA D1 softball and legislative committee. She will look to expand her talents to volleyball and basketball for the upcoming season. The CSU men's golf team continues their hot streak, winning their 5th straight Rams Masters Invitational. They held an 11-shot advantage in the last round of the Invitational and set a tournament record with the lowest single round total of 14 under 266. The Rams were originally in second place in this first round against Illinois State, but came up big in the last 2 rounds to bring back the trophy for CSU. The next event will be individuals at CSU Mark Simpson Invitational next Monday. The CSU tennis team kicked off their season today in the Milwaukee Tennis Team Classic. The team was split for the upcoming tournaments, with 4 players attending the Milwaukee Classic, which is Thursday, and then the 3 players going to Wyoming Classic, which is Friday through Sunday. There are over 20 teams competing in Milwaukee, while only 3 teams will be in Wyoming. This will create a much more intense match and rivalries forming in Wyoming, and the stat line should show that. The Rams will be lining up in both tournaments tomorrow. Looking towards the weekend, the CSU football team will be playing Illinois State this Saturday. They will be looking to gain their 2nd win of the year, and all of the spotlight will be on CSU's defense and how they will adjust to this Redbirds offense. The Illinois Redbirds have been unstoppable in their only 2 games of the season, winning by a combined 84 points. Yes, you heard me right, 84 points. This puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the defense to even hold them below 40 points on the day. They're just as strong on the ground as they are in the air, so this will be the ultimate test for the struggling CSU defense. The CSU offense will need to keep up with Illinois State's to stay in the game, and based off of CSU's run game as of recently, it's going to be a tough one. The kickoff is set for 1 p.m. in the afternoon this Saturday. Well, that's all the sports I have for today, but make sure to check CTV Twitter and CTV Channel 11 on YouTube for the latest in CSU athletics. I'm Jared Stratton. Up next is Colin Sanders with entertainment.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back, Rams. I'm Colin Sanders, and tonight's show is full of everything fun in Fort Collins. Ricardo Valles Valentine, the rap artist more commonly known as Black, has just released his second album showing that rap does have a soft side. The album is called East Atlanta Love Letter, and throughout the album, Black shows his true emotions and memories through his songs. In the words of his songs, it is quite obvious that Black is really invested and devoted to his career and his music. You can already bet that I'll be listening to his album on repeat. Earlier this week, CSU celebrated their annual Ag Day in homage to the opening of the original Colorado School of Agriculture back in 1904. With this year's 34th Ag Day, grills were ablaze as delicious food drew people in where they got to learn and join many different clubs around campus. Ag Day is a place for different CSU clubs to connect, create friends, and develop bonds that students will probably remember for the rest of their lives. Thanks to Ag Day, many smaller clubs get a surface time to raise money and promote scholarships for students. Ag Day has always housed this tradition in the Hughes Stadium and had to unfortunately move it to the IM Fields this year. Some students who attended this year might say that its new location was a huge disappointment. Are you a fan of singing trashy pop songs while also being trashed? Then the Downtown Artery's new karaoke night might be the place for you. The Downtown Artery is a place that supports and supplies art of every form to the Fort Collins community, including karaoke night.
I came out to the Artery tonight because it's a really special place to be able to let go and try karaoke, try any kind of artistic thing that you like, and not be judged by it because everybody here is super comforting and super nice.
Karaoke is a fun time for people of all ages to cut loose and enjoy their 15 minutes of fame.
Why we do it? Because karaoke is, second to bubblegum, the coolest thing we've ever invented. Bubblegum isn't even that cool. I think karaoke is it's just great. I mean, we've gone through so many iterations of this place and doing so many different kind of angles and just trying to be somewhat successful for the community, for ourselves.
I would totally recommend the Artery to every CSU student because it's a place where you can really start to relax and just kind of understand art isn't just for artistic people, it's for anybody who wants to just understand what human culture is about.
With midterms coming up, the Artery's karaoke night might just be the thing you need to take a break. If interested, maybe check out next week's karaoke night as well as other fun events the Downtown Artery houses throughout the week. In northern Fort Collins, the Bob Blue Theater Company has just released a new romantic comedy play titled Mr. Perfect. This play explores so many different themes and difficult topics in today's world, such as religion, sexuality, suicide, and angst, all through a modern, live, humorous love story. One of the main reasons this play is a must-see is because it takes the complicated life struggles and turns them into nothing more than a joke for all of us to laugh and relate to. My love life may be cute and thriving, but the rest of my life, now that's a real joke. I hope you guys are real jitterbugs out there because the Caffeine Crawl hit Old Town this past weekend. This pub crawl styled event lets Fort Collins residents really get to try out all sorts of different coffee houses and different types of coffee. Perfect for finding that good cup of joe. The crawl spanned a half a mile and hit 4 local coffee shops, including the Butterfly Cafe, Nuance Chocolate, Scrumpy's Hard Cider Bar and Pub, and Happy Lucky's. With all these different places you can get coffee, you would think CSU students would never be tired. That's all the time I have for you tonight, Rams. Tune in next week as I cover the UCA's 10th anniversary celebration event. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go and enjoy my new favorite cup of coffee. Good night, Rams.